come from Oakland to Berkeley and back to Oakland. I have customers coming from Sacramento, Lake Tahoe, Walnut Creek. These people drive their vehicles. They need a place to park when they come here. Our business is already effective on Saturdays during game days when there's a lack of parking already, and I'm sure every merchant here can agree to that. So I totally don't agree with this, but I was open-minded when I came, but after looking and listening, it just doesn't seem to make any sense for merchants or for us to continue to do business. We're already in bad times of business. If this projected, it might be a year for this to last, 2 years. Thank you. Did you guys ride the bus here tonight? None of you guys rode the bus here tonight? All right.
Liz Greason, followed by Scott. Please, people can't hear me. Call their names.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Liz Bryson. I'm a resident of Berkeley, and I support the study of the dedicated BRT lanes as a part of the locally preferred alternative. I'm both a regular transit rider and an auto owner. I find the decision to choose transit over auto very difficult when the transit travel time takes so long. There's widespread recognition that to meet our climate goals, we need to get people out of their cars. Transportation makes up 40% of greenhouse gas emissions in the region, and full BRT option will provide the travel time savings that we need. I understand there's a lot of concerns with local impacts like traffic and parking, but at the very least, let's study them in the final alternative so we can identify the impacts and mitigate them. So I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a resident of Berkeley. I'm also a transportation planner by profession, and from that expertise, I feel strongly about BRT. It makes a whole lot of sense. It's a very cost-effective way to make significant transit improvements quickly. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Scott Tomey, and followed by Chris Mullen, followed by Lindy Johnson.
Bonnie made an interesting comment earlier, which I thought was that employment is growing, which was news to me. But anyway, I think it's kind of says a lot about BRT and how misconceived the whole thing is. Also, AC Transit has spent thousands and thousands, if not millions of dollars in consultants to sell the BRT project forward. $250 to $400 million project. And the city of Berkeley hires the same consultants to do an independent study on behalf of the city about a locally preferred alternative. I ask you, what is the chance those consultants are going to find substantially for a no-build alternative? The degree to which AC Transit and the Transportation Commission are in bed together should be criminal. Tony, who spoke earlier, I think was working for AC Transit, 18 months ago? And we're asking them for an objective view of bus rapid transit. The lobbying against healthcare reform.
Thank you very much.
No comparison. Also, I want to talk about a conversation I had with Mayor Bates. Vince and I talked with Mayor Bates about bus rapid transit, and we said, well, gridlock is never green, Mayor Bates, whether it's in the service of buses or whatever. A bunch of cars stuck in traffic is an environmental disaster. It's not a green project. And he said, well, we have to get people out of their cars somehow. So basically they're talking about using transportation tax money to exacerbate traffic conditions, create gridlock, to force people out of their cars. And I said, well, what if it's just too horrible? And he said, oh, we'll just tear it out. That's what the mayor said. And I mean, is this really an acceptable way of doing business for the city of Berkeley? I think it would be funny if it weren't so scary. Thank you.
Exactly.
Chris Mullen, followed by Lindy Johnson, followed by Vicki Gotcha.
Hi, thanks. I'll be quick. I'm Chris Mullen. I'm the Transit Outreach Specialist at the Berkeley Center for Independent Living. You've been on Telegraph for a long time, and we do have operations that are looking at moving to another bigger building in the near future. But I'm a travel trainer. I'm a travel training expert, and I have trainers that work with people with disabilities, teaching them how to get around on public transportation. And I can't say I'm sort of Switzerland on BRT because the way that I take transit exclusively, and I like to get around quickly, but the distance between stops is a backbreaker for my program, which teaches people with disabilities to take a $1 ride instead of a $50 ride to the county for paratransit. So we urge local alternatives to whatever happens at local stops. Keep
Thank you
local
very much.
stops. We can't lose.
Thank you. Lindy Johnson, followed by Vicki Gotcher, followed by Jane Kramer.
My name is Lindy Johnson. My father was the mayor of Berkeley in the 1960s. So I'd like to put an overview about what happened with BART during that time and all the promises that were promoted then. It was going to go right through the center of Berkeley or right through the downtown corridor of the western corridor where the train tracks were. My dad was an engineer. There was a lot more going on in the 60s than BART, but he took a lot of time looking at other cities and saw how elevated transport corridors divided cities. I've lived a block and a half off Telegraph Avenue for 42 years. I'm right near Derby on Ward Street. I've watched traffic up and down Telegraph Avenue. There's nobody on the buses. I've watched Telegraph up and down Telegraph. I work at Ashby. I'm a nurse at Alta Bates. I'm a nurse midwife there. There's no gridlock on Telegraph. This is to serve the University of California, not the people who live there. We have BART. Let's increase access to BART and not ruin the neighborhood that struggles to be integrated with across the other side of Telegraph Avenue and all the good things that come there.
Thank you very much. Vicki Gotcher, followed by Jane Kramer, followed by Jason Coulibaly. Please line up behind her so that we don't waste time between speakers.
I'm a vendor on Telegraph Avenue for many years, for 32 years, and I'm an artist. When I came to Berkeley to sell my craft to people who can buy, people came to my stand from locally, from state, and from out of the country. Lots of people come from all over the world. It's a gathering place. It's a place where people talk, they ask questions about Berkeley, and those are the stories we all know, and they're still true. The thing that I think about the most, though, when I look at this plan and I think of standing at my stand, I worry about the idea that it's a freight train that has no tracks, that it is very frequent, and at Christmas, there are a lot of cars there, and it really is bad. The pollution's horrible. And if it's that way all the time, it'll be going in the stores as well. And if you're going to put buses down through there, that many of them, you really have to have non-polluting buses. I mean, it'll just be gassing all of Telegraph. And it's a gathering place for people.
Right, thank you very much. Jane, someone else will give you an answer. Please stand clear. Okay, fine. Go ahead. You have another minute.
Right now is a really bad time for all of us in our culture and in our times to eliminate a gathering place, which is kind of what that will do. We need community. And really now I've noticed one of the pluses, of the few pluses, is that a lot of people do come out and walk around the ad now, a lot more than used to. And instead of going and spending money, they come and they mix with other people. And they like to hear stories about Berkeley. And they may not buy a whole lot, but the community is created and it's growing. And I think that we should allow that to happen. Putting a bunch of buses down through there is not going to create an ambient atmosphere for those kind of engagements. So if you're going to put buses